Step 5 is all about engaging the community, activating them. So in this step, you will have 3 main activities. The first one is that you engage the household. The second one is all with the school. The third one is that you engage key stakeholders like religious institution, the market, maybe there are some hotels, restaurants, and shops. Now we will look at activity 1, engaging the household. The aim is that your household have a pretty decent understanding of waste in general, and that they know and are willing to support the waste collection system in the village. You have 2 activities. The first one is that you have an awareness session about waste in general and its issues. The second one is a discussion about what is the best way for the household to support the waste management system. Try to keep the activity short, not much more than 1 hour. But you can conduct multiple sessions depending on the numbers of households you have and are willing to participate in the training. You can conduct it in a meeting room or anywhere else where you have a quiet place. This could be even 1 household. You should try to involve the households for this training, not more than 30 people per training. And you should specifically focus on women, as they are, in most cases, the ones who are actually dealing with waste in the household. You will need some IAC material for the awareness raising section. In the introduction section of the awareness raising session, you should definitely first introduce yourself in your team, because not maybe everyone knows you. Then you should recall a little bit your observations on waste management practices in the village and have a short discussion with them how they see that issues. And then finally, it is also good to play the waste segregation game, as you did already with the waste committee. It helps the group a little bit to loosen up and also to set the tone on the problem of waste, on which you talk in the next session. The next point on the list of your agenda should be an awareness raising section of roughly 15, maybe 20 minutes. The first one is talk about waste. Here mainly the composition of waste and how different kinds of waste can be treated differently. That is really important for all future engagement with the waste committee on how to segregate waste, how to treat waste, that environmental pollution is reduced. The second one is to talk about the environmental issues regarding waste. So air pollution, plastic pollution, which they probably have a lot in the rivers or in the soil, and then finally climate change. The third thing to talk about is then about health. And for sure there are many different aspects around health, and you can talk about microplastics in the blood or the brain, or there are very different angles you can look at that topic. What we learned is the most effective items on health is either respiratory and reproductive health. After the awareness raising section, you should speak mainly about the engagement or the participation between the community and the waste committee. So there are 4 points which you should raise. The first one is financial sustainability of the committee and how the community can support that the system keeps on running. The second one is then source segregation, so that the community is clear when they are disposing just all their waste there, that this will be very difficult to manage for the committee, and that source segregation is very important so that only plastic, mainly plastic, is actually collected by the committee. A third point are bins, and then how these bins are actually disposed. So here it depends a little bit how the community is working. If they have bins already in the household, at least in the kitchen or in the bathroom. If not, then you will start on a very basic level on working with the community in a short discussion, sadly, only on where to put bins and how to manage them, and how this household bin infrastructure can then link with the waste committee. When there are bins already, then this is not a big issue, and in most cases, even in very remote villages, there is at least some bin infrastructure in the kitchen or in the bathroom, so that it is not that difficult to set up. The last point to focus on is littering. So in communities where there is and there never was a proper waste management system, for sure littering is the way of managing waste. Working on littering is comparably difficult, and here, depending on the time you have, for sure you should spend considerable time to discuss with the household how they can participate in reducing littering by the community. Finally, you can discuss with them a kind of call to action. We normally do two different campaigns with the community. The one is a plastic campaign, and the other one is setting up a group on composting. For the plastic campaign, we call it "Do you need the bag?" So you see this kind of poster in the background. With the households or with the participants of your training, we give them these kind of posters and ask them to go to the shops in the village and ask the shopkeeper to hang this poster into the shop. And this poster basically requests the customer of the shop to not use plastic bags and to bring their own container or other alternatives. So in that way you can get the group more active, because when they're going to the shops, they have to talk about the problem of pollution and why it is good to move to more environmental friendly and sustainable consumption. So already you can make the group more active. And the second one is then the composting group. So here, depending on, let's say, the participants, so often you will have people with quite good experience in gardening, and they then could kind of lead this kind of composting group and slowly get through this group the community more active to move away from open burning to composting of their garden waste. Let's look at some of the common challenges. First, when you have a rather large village and you want to conduct this activity with a decent amount of households, remember that you need to have quite a number of sessions, which is quite time consuming. Another problem is related to time. So remember that the key group you actually want to target are women, but often in the rural area they are quite busy. So finding the right time is not easy. Related to this, when you have women actually in the training, they quite often bring their children, which makes the training a little bit more noisy, and you will face a decent amount of interruptions. Some tips for this activity. The first one is make sure that the village leader and the waste committee are supporting you in inviting the households. The second one is try to conduct the activities in different areas of the village. So each area might have their own issues, their own solutions even. So when you are more specific per area, your outcome might be better. During the training, make sure that you are clearly referring to the waste management system as decided by the waste committee. So, for example, when your waste management system is a donation-based structure, then you need to tell during these trainings that the households have to donate money. Otherwise, the system will collapse after some time.